Something that pisses me off and confuses me, like, is when people don't think shit through before they have a kid. They just have a kid. Like, maybe it's because of the way I grow up, maybe it's because of all the movies that thankfully came during my era of living that talked about the brutal realities of childbirth and what it can do to your body. Not to mention all the shit that's coming out even now about how common it is for men to start cheating the second you get pregnant, or start like revealing their mask and their fucked up behaviors that maybe didn't come out so much, or at least they hid very well until later on in the relationship. Like as soon as you get pregnant, some people just like unmask themselves like a Scooby-Doo villain and just let it all out with the audacity. And that fucking frustrates me. But what really annoys me is like, okay, how do I put this? Especially if someone's like really fucking young. You know, you're not in the right headspace, mind space, everything. Trust me, when I was young, I thought, oh, if my life goes perfectly well, I could probably have a kid at like, 22. I see no reason why I couldn't. Let's just say I'm 24 now. Fucking, I'm not gonna have a kid until I'm like 35. Oh, I have shit to do. Like, I don't know, just picture like something you could do that's amazing with your life. Like, picture like that amazing goal you have, amazing journey. And then imagine it's like, oh, hey, I'm gonna have to go home from this super early to tuck in a kid goodnight who probably won't go the fuck to bed at the time we expect. Like, like if bedtime's like 8 o'clock, they're gonna keep your ass up until like 3 o'clock on some bullshit. And then you're probably gonna wake up the next morning to them wetting the bed. Or just like picture a nice event and then picture like having to like clean a dirty diaper like multiple times during that event, sometimes back to back. Or like your kid screaming their ass off hella hard because they have attachment issues. I did that to my mom when I was young. I remember she had this recording opportunity that she was doing. I don't remember what it was, if it was singing or a podcast. All I know is she had 3 kids. And of course my older brother and sister, they were like chilling. But me, I was like 4 and like all scared and shit with issues. I don't know. My little fucking undeveloped brain was like, no, she's in the next room and she's not holding me and I'm not on her leg or arm. So this means the world is ending. Ah! And it just was endlessly crying and sobbing and screaming and kicking and fussing. And it's like, damn, girl, it's not that deep. I'm like she wasn't that, like, it was just separated by like a room with a window and I was losing my fucking shit. Simply put, you have to prepare for that type of shit as a parent. If I recall correctly, my mom handled it pretty well, but I think I was the favorite, so of course she fucking was going to. Also, I think, like, I don't know, there was a point in time where or at least I don't remember her beating the shit out of me or anything, but, it's like maybe she did, maybe she didn't, but I just recall that she did have to take a break multiple times as she tried to record to, like, make sure I was okay and, like, chill me out and simmer me down and stuff. Or people don't realize, like, everything in your life will change. That's why some people wait to have kids. I remember, like, as soon as my older siblings graduated high school, they talked about how almost all of their friends got fucking pregnant and the girls were keeping the babies. And it's like, what? Just why? There was this guy, I won't say I could say his name, but let's just call him Vance or whatever. So Vance, I guess, was hooking up with his ex-girlfriend, like on some fuck buddy shit. And then she got pregnant and she was like, I'm keeping this baby. And he didn't want the fucking baby. So of course, it's like, you're just stuck with a bitch who you don't like and don't have anything in common with, who I guess you were somehow nutting inside or whatever. And you now have to, like, yeah, congratulations. You're not even like fucking 20 yet. Not like barely even 18. And now it's like, okay, all your money has to go towards this. You have to, like, it just hinders your future in a certain way. It doesn't mean your future is doomed. No, you could have a beautiful, beautiful life. And there are still, like, like, all things considered, if my mom was less of a stupid, abusive cunt, she did pretty well, all things considered. She did everything pretty damn well. She was like, I'm gonna work these jobs, and I'm gonna, like, most of her kids, well, okay, I won't say they came out well behaved. Ooh, let's just say objectively, there was a point in time where it's like, she has a beautiful family. Most, if not all of them, have good grades and mostly decent manners and all that stuff. I'm just saying, none of us came out trailer trash, She had a bunch of, well, I don't like these niggas, but objectively, her kids did not come out like, well, okay, never mind. I can't even say anything good about them. Never mind. Like, don't worry, I like myself. And I just really don't like my estranged, I can't even call them family. They're just people. Let's just say she fucked us all up, but I've seen worse. That's the best compliment I can think of to give to her. She worked the job she needed to, she gave us the good educations. Most of the times, until like later in life, she put food on the table, but then she started being a bit, yeah, yeah. But yeah, mm hmm. Also, I don't like the type of people who like complain to their parents, I mean to their kids about sacrifice. It's always the parents who don't need to be doing that shit. It's like, ma'am, you beat the shit out of your kids every time you're upset and you want to preach to them about like, "Oh, I had to do this for you, had to do that for you." You're like, "Yeah, bitch, of course you had to. You're the one who was getting fucking backshots from any fucking nigga at the club or your ex and then doing stupid shit. And then you decided to keep us. And now you're like, "Oh no. I have to feed them and have to clothe them and wash their ass and like make sure they have a bed to sleep in and are like healthy and stuff." Wow, and then you're gonna complain? Bitch, you chose that. And even so, you're legally required to do so. You're going to jail. Like, or we're getting taken away. Like, just, I don't know. It's just, she's dumb as fuck. What really annoys me is when I hear stories, especially from the people who have already grown up in this situation, where they're the offspring of like a loveless marriage where the adults just don't believe in condoms or like don't take care of themselves. So then it'll be like, like it'll just be like, "Ooh, I'm the first girl in my family and I was parentified." And then like it'll be these, just so you know, I'm talking about someone else's story. This girl online, she was like, "Yeah, I was the first girl in my family and I was only like 15 when I finally had to like run away from home because I was taking care of like 8 kids with one more on the way. And when the youngest was acting up and I couldn't like properly calm him down, next thing you know, my dad started savagely beating the shit out of me because he hated that I couldn't control him, but he also didn't want me to like punish him or smack him or do anything." And so she basically was forced into a position of authority but also had like zero power, and she was put in a helpless situation. And there was no food on the table, hardly enough room for anyone to sleep, no privacy, no silence. Everything was just nonstop hell. And so she just had to one day flee into the middle of the night with bruises on her face and blood on her body. And she specifically said that she told the cops about it, and cops are fucking useless, so they were just gonna take her right back home. But then, like, she saw another little girl that same night who I guess was like, "My dad is raping me, my dad's raping me, and if you take me back, I'm gonna fucking kill myself." And the cops were like, "Ah, shit, she said she's gonna kill herself." Well, I guess now legally we have to send her to a mental hospital or foster care. And so the main character of this story, she was smart. She was like, "Oh, if you take me back to my dad, I'm fucking killing myself." And then they're like, "Ah, shit, here we go again." And like double homicide. And so they took both girls to like, you know, foster care in the mental ward and stuff. And she stayed there away from her family. And she actually improved considerably, got her GED. Like her life got better because she had to leave. And yeah, that's an example of like the type of scenarios I hate hearing about, or about like the messiest. Like whenever I hear these stories about deadbeat baby daddies, I just think to myself, "You mean to tell me this nigga was a nightmare and you were letting him nut in you?" But I won't fucking, how do I put this? I won't shit on them too hard because let's just say my experience with my ex Morgan last year taught me a lot. And it's like sometimes the worst nigga can also be the best nigga you know at that time. Or you can have a trauma bond, or he can just be so fucking gorgeous and really interesting. And you see potential in him, and he's so lovable and sweet at times. And if he just stopped doing this, this, and that, he would be so lovely. And yeah, like, you know, he was the type of dude where he would do some things incredibly well, and it would touch my spirit and soul. And I would be so just like, wow, this man would make an amazing husband someday. But let's just be glad the facade dropped, and let's just be sad that no condoms got popped, and that every pill needed to get popped in order for me not to get pregnant. I'm not talking abortion, I'm just talking Plan Bs and shit. Popping Plan Bs because I don't plan to be stuck with your damn. But yeah, oof, good lord. I refuse, I refuse. And then I'm just so glad that any other dumbass nigga who I had been with, it's like the Plan Bs were taken, the condoms were worn, the pull-out game was strong. Amen. But I still usually like try to advocate to only have sex with people who you think could make good potential fathers, or at the very least people who would 100% have abortion money and give it to you and be able to take you to the appointment and care about you during it. Like those are the good types of guys. Morgan was not that type of guy. Oh my god, Morgan was the type of nigga where I remember I took a plan B and it somehow fucked up my system so bad that I had a fucking terrible, terrible period for an entire like 5 weeks, almost 6. And this bitch ass nigga just, he wouldn't care about the miserable agony, pain, stress, any of the awful, awful, awful effects it was having on my body of nonstop bleeding and diarrhea and stomach sickness and irritation and like just the worst symptoms ever. He would just be like, hey, since your period restarted and it's the first day, does that mean I can nut inside you and you won't get pregnant? And anyway, yeah, I see why I had to beat the shit out of him at some point. Yeah, he's a terrible man. Like, I know it's like, don't beat the shit out of me. Sometimes you get just, I don't know. Some people just walk around this planet not getting slapped, and that's their issue. And even if they're still stupid as fuck and don't change their mind or behaviors after you slap them, I'm just saying, it kind of like, it's, how do I put this? I don't know how to explain it, but it's like it almost had no effect on them at all. So why should you feel bad about something that didn't have remotely any effect on them? I'm just saying. Toxic opinion, but yeah. Also, another relevant thing. I'm glad I mentioned that. I want to make sure that if I were to ever have kids, I want to be safe for them. Like, for example, I don't like the type of people where it's like they compare themselves to their parents and are like, oh, at least I'm not them. Because how do I put this? I know that my grandmother was a fucking cunt to my mother. Like, I'm talking like sicked dogs on my mother. I'm talking like pulled a gun on my mother. I'm talking like terrible, 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 terrible things. Terrible things. And it fucking sucked. And then as for me, like, the way she treated me, it's like, okay, cool, you didn't fucking pull a gun out on me or try to like sick a fucking Doberman or whatever the fuck on me, but you still very much beat the shit out of me for like 8 hours and did some mildly pedophilic or at the very least extremely sus shit. And then on top of that, you like put me in hot showers and scalding hot showers and then freezing cold showers and then beat me more and more and more and more and tried to make me sleep on the floor naked in your cold fucking bathroom. Like, you're a cunt, lady. I hope, like, no offense, if she were to kill herself, well, yeah, I'm not gonna say anything past, like, not my circus, not my monkeys. But let's just say, I recognize that I can be a 10 times better parent than my mother, but that's not fucking hard. But guess what? Even if I were like 1/10, 1/11th the amount of evil she was, that would still be a little bit too much for me. I recognize my own potential. I recognize my own ego and my own flaws and my own temperament. And it's like, yeah, if I were to have a kid, I'd want to make sure that I have a temperament. I wouldn't want to be one of those people that has to threaten to whip my kids out in the street for them to like start acting right. I'd want to hold space for them emotionally. I'd be patient. Like, if a kid breaks a plate, they're not going to get their ass beat or threatened or screamed at or yelled at or called terrible things under the sun. It's just going to be like, it's okay, baby. Go ahead and sweep it up. And wear some shoes, make sure you're safe. As long as you don't do that again, just be careful. And then, like, because, yeah, like, really. And me dating that loser I did this summer, let's just say I am glad I got to meet his kid, because it did kind of, like, I don't know. Certain things did get resolved because I was there, and I'm glad about it. I do hope that girl is okay. I'm sure she is, and if she's not, may everything work in her favor to get her safety, please. But I know damn sure that I would be a good parent because, while my ex that summer, he was like, oh, I don't know, she says she wants to be a furry, but I don't know how to handle this. I was able to, like, let him know like the perspectives to look at and like how she's young and blah blah blah. And let's just say it, now she gets to wear her little foxtail and kitty ears in public, and no one bats an eye because she's a cute little 10-year-old girl. It's just a phase or whatever. And even if it's not, furries can make a shit ton of money, and she's a talented artist and whatnot. But then even if there was like conflict with him or her, I would try my best to like give my insight, because there was conflict. Like, for example, there was an awkward moment where his daughter thought we were friends. I was not aware she thought we were only friends. I don't know. Let's just say she heard certain things that happened in the laundry room, and we thought she was downstairs, and a conversation had to be had. And he was freaking out because he was like, shit, I think I just scarred my kid for the rest of her life. And I had to be like, no, it's okay, but she's probably worried because, you didn't tell her that we were ever a thing. So, she's probably she probably feels betrayed and confused and hurt and scared. And, it's not good hearing your dad get called certain things, and it's gross. And then also, like, she did lose her mother a few years back. Sure, you weren't together, but she probably now thinks I'm gonna, like, replace her mother, and that's not, like, a good, like, there's layers to it. And I talked him through most of it. And let's just say things managed to get resolved one way or another. And, like, but I was glad I got to be there for them. And I remember he said this one fucked up thing where he talked about there was a few times he had to beat his daughter's ass, and I was like, oh, what's the, like, but he said, oh, only if she really deserved it, though. And I said, okay, what's the context? And then he explained, like, oh, well, there was this one time when she was like 4 and she dropped her hamster on accident and it broke its back legs and it was really expensive to get the surgery, so it had to be put down, and she was crying really hard and she felt so bad. And but yeah, we had to put it down. It was a lot of money and I was so upset. And yeah, and so I did it to teach her not to do it again. And I said, oh, it sounds like you just beat a 4-year-old who made a mistake and felt bad about it immediately after, and then you just chose to hurt her out of your own frustration. And then he kind of realized, like, ah, shit, he did, because then he kind of realized he severely overreacted at that point. Like, yeah, nigga, that's, yeah, you didn't need to do that. But don't worry, like, by the time me and him broke up, if anything, he was extremely soft on her. And I had to even tell him, it's like, hey, dude, if your daughter's being extremely rude to your new girlfriend, or, like, hostile to others and snarky, you're not supposed to, like, you can't just reward the behavior by giving her, like, pizza and gummy worms, but also you shouldn't be trying to force her to, like, get along with me, because it is very new. You can't just, like, try to pressure her or just, like, demand she sits with us to watch movies and stuff, because she doesn't know us very well, and you did lie to her, or at the very least conceal the truth when you didn't need to. And, like, it's necessary. Like, yeah, it's like you can't just go from, like, yeah, to me it's just a friend, to, oh, to me it's dancing in my kiss chin and my hands are on her hips and I have my lips on her lips, and we dip, you dip, I dip. I mean, sorry, okay, I added that last part to be funny. Sorry, that was a joke. It's like, yeah, she's a little girl and she needs time and space, so it's gonna have to be like, we are gonna, like, slowly, like, hang out more with her. No kissing in public, no hand holding, no none of that until she gets comfortable, because we can't just speed it up and force this little girl to get on our level, because she's gonna just resent you for it. He still tried, though, or in some ways he tried to be good, but in other ways you could still, he was still selfish. But let's just say that's another thing of his that simmered into our relationship, his selfishness and inability to, like, respect other people's wants, needs, and boundaries. And that's why he's broken up, and that's why he's known as a rapist in the comedy scene. But whatever, let's move on from that. But on the bright side, like, I don't know, it was still nice that I got to bond with the child and be like, yeah, I would still be a wonderful parent, absolutely. But I still have, like, temperament issues and spite and, like, certain things that I wouldn't want to do. I wouldn't, like, I could be manipulative as fuck. I'm self-aware about a lot of things. It would have to be like, I could have one kid, and I don't want my kids to experience favoritism like my siblings did, because that fucked up almost all of them. And I want them to be happy and healthy. So I'm not going to have another kid unless I'm 100% sure that I can love 2 kids at the same time, the same amount, and, like, not cause one or the other to, like, hate themselves or each other. And I don't know, whenever I hear stories too about, like, ooh, when I was a kid, I would be starving and crying with my stomach damn near touching my spine, but my mom would just laugh and get her nails done. Like, and, like, shell out all her money to get her nails done and just not give a fuck about these kids. I think that's, like, I don't know. I think some things are just so reprehensible in so many fucking ways. Like, god damn. Like, and also some people will just be like, yeah, I'm gonna have this baby, I'm a teenager, I'm gonna have this baby. And it's like, okay, but you're gonna have to recognize you're gonna have to feed it and clothe it, take care of it, and you can't abuse it, and you have to do good and right by it. Like, and remember that how you were treated as a kid, and try to just have that same empathy and translate that and be the parent you needed when you were younger. Like read books, get therapy, get, like, really, if I ended up, like, suddenly pregnant, I swear to God, it would be like a force of no other. Because if I somehow could not get an abortion or did not want one, it'd be like, okay, I'm going to sign myself up for therapy and work really hard. I'm going to research how to align all my chakras. I'm getting every single pregnancy book. I'm eating as healthy as I can. I'm making sure I'm grinding really hard, or at least dating someone else who is, so that we can live in a very nice neighborhood with no issues, no bad influences. I'm going to make sure everything goes well, because I don't want my kid to just pop out and live in poverty or live in total despair or sadness and all that. But there's a lot of things to consider. Like, what if your kid pops out with a disability? Or what if you want to have a nice night out? Like, imagine you could have the best night out suddenly, but you know you have a kid at home to tuck in. Or it's like, okay, but if you want to have this nice night out, you're going to have to pay like $150 to like some teenager. Or hell, maybe you can swindle them into accepting less, but do you really think you should? Even then, and also teenagers can be very dangerous. People can hurt your kids even as the babysitter. I know this from experience, trust me. Like hell, my mom was a babysitter. We all know how that worked out. She's still a babysitter. She should not be a babysitter. Like, there's sacrifices to be made. You can't, like, I don't know. Nothing I hate more than people who have kids and don't think about all they're sacrificing, or like all the things that can happen. So if it's like, oh, well, he doesn't want to date me, so suddenly he's not able to see my kid. Or the vice versa, where the dad is like, oh, well, if she's not giving me pussy anymore, fuck her and that ugly ass baby, and I'm gonna do my own thing. Like, I hate shit like that. It's so stupid and disgusting and pathetic. All of it's pathetic. And I don't like it when people who obviously shouldn't be together and just decide, hey, I'm not going to get a divorce or separate or anything. I'm just going to constantly fight and fight and fight and swear and swear and swear and cheat and do violence in front of my kids, and this should be fine. Like, just, I don't know. I think it's so dumb when people who have like massive egos, low funds, like the urge to keep up with the Jonases, or like always spend their money to like be on trend or seem like bougie and rich and stuff, but then they don't consistently have food on the table, and like they're mentally ill but they won't admit it or resolve it or fix it, or they're in a fucked up relationship, or they have like a million things going on that are just like downright terrible, and then they'll be like, you know what this situation needs? A harmless innocent child that neither of us really truly want. Like, there was this one woman my mom babysat for, and like I'm sure she still does to this day, but it's this little baby named Maya, and the baby has a disability. We're Everyone's pretty sure of it. It's a still very cute baby, wonderful child, but it definitely doesn't help that like her development was probably slowed down even more because the mother had a baby just to look cool to her other friends, because she's been with this one nigga for like 10-15 years. He's never proposed, and she figured, if I can't have a ring, I might as well force him to give me a baby. And she had the baby, and she was like, I'm not aborting. And he was like, I guess I can spread my money kind of thin and work more shifts, I guess. Like, he still does right by the child. He's the one who actually takes care of it more than she does, and he's the one working full time. Like, he's the one who will actually be seen holding her. But he's so exhausted from work that there have been times where like the mother walked in the door, and then the baby would just be crying on the floor, and her husband would be unconscious as fuck on the rocking chair because he wouldn't even realize that he dropped her, which I'm pretty like, Jesus. And then on top of that, then it's like, motherfucking, yeah. And then she cared more about her baby being in cute outfits than her baby being treated well. So basically, she'd spend all her money on outfits and then just be like, my baby is existing and I don't want to take care of it, so I'm gonna put it in a car seat that's way too small for its frame and just put it in front of the TV watching Good Times nonstop. I'm not gonna teach it to read, to speak, anything. I'm just gonna just fuck it. Good Times. And like the baby was, oh, it's so sad. Let's stop. This is making me sad. But on the bright side, my mother, despite her flaws, she still did pretty well in trying to get that baby to like develop more and stuff. Oh, also another thing. Yeah, I remember my mom went out of her way to be manipulative towards all of us and abusive towards all of us in situations where it was absolutely not necessary. Like, for example, I remember one memory when I was younger is that my older brother, I guess, thought it would be funny to like put a garland of toilet paper on the top bunk of the bed. And me being naive and like fucking 4 or something, I ran to my mom and said, look, it happened. Look what happened. It's so funny. And my older siblings who knew better, they're like, Tamia, no. And my mother was a dumbass bitch, and they were like, who did this? I obviously was quiet. The older siblings were trying to act like nobody did it, and obviously I didn't fucking do it. Either way, guess she just decided, hey, let's strip all of them naked and beat the shit out of them in front of open windows so that they can grow up knowing that no one in the neighborhood would care for their safety, and that there's no safety in the house either. Like, and she would do a bunch of weird shit. And it's like, that's disgusting. And I know that I could repeat the same mistakes as she did if I wanted to take shortcuts to try to like have obedient children who respect me only out of fear and not out of like love or adoration or kindness. But unlike her, I'm not a disgusting fat fucking cunt. Sorry. Or even if I do get fat, I'm not gonna be a disgusting cunt. So yeah, I'll be a better parent than she will ever be, and it won't be that fucking hard for me because I'm gonna do the work that she should have. And if I don't think I can, I'll get an abortion. I swear to God. It's like really. Oh, and another thing she did, I remember that my older sister, sorry. When I was born, allegedly my older sister dropped me as a baby. And my mom responded by giving her the worst ass whooping in her entire fucking life that I think to this day still mentally scarred my sister. But it's like, why would you even hand a fucking, a fucking 3-year old, they're weak as fuck. Why would you hand a fucking 3-year old a heavy ass baby who was just born? Like, yeah, it's fucked up that she dropped me, but it's like, really? She probably felt fucking bad that she dropped me. You didn't need to beat her, and then she put on a lifetime of favoritism acts, and it's just like weird. I don't know. So please don't be a parent unless you're willing to like put in the work financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically, all that. Be safe for your kids, love your kids, and be nice to your kids. Peace out and bye.